Turn off the lights, close the shades, and light some candles because we are about to dive into the classic horror anime Ghost Stories. For real, you might not even be able to sleep tonight because we are about to watch our child protagonist go from this
Satsuki, get back in here. You'll get your head cut off.
Oh, Daddy.
to this.
Take it.
Wait, she is a child, right? Ugh. Ghost Stories is a 1999 anime based on a series of children's novels. It follows a group of elementary school students as they battle ghosts, spirits, and demons in their small town. The English dub of this anime specifically elevated it to an entire new level. And well, you'll know why I'm saying that soon enough. But before we officially decide to get into this raunchy masterpiece, let's introduce its characters. First, we've got our MC Satsuki and her cowardly younger brother Kechiro, two siblings that are recovering from the death of their mother Kayako. These siblings are then joined in their ghost adventures by Hajime, a brave but perverted classmate who always rushes into danger, Leo, a Jewish boy obsessed with all things occult, and Momoko, an upperclassman who is a born-again Christian and never shuts up about it. Oh, and who could forget the real main character that is Satsuki and Kechiro's pet cat, Kaya? Alright, with that out of the way, let's get into it. The first episode opens with a man walking around a spooky old school building. As the lights flicker and strange sounds come from all around, the man keeps asking if anyone is there. Suddenly, something creeps up behind the man, something that makes him scream in terror. The next morning, we see that our protagonist Satsuki and her younger brother Kechiro are just arriving in this new town. This is the town their parents grew up in, and they are moving in with their grandparents following the tragic death of their mother due to an illness. They drive past the old elementary school, and their father tells the kids that the old school is where he and their mother met, but it has since been closed down and replaced with a newer building right next door. The family arrives at their new house where we meet Grandma and Grandpa.
When this bitch kicks, I'm moving to Vegas.
Wow, I guess he's not exactly the sweet candy-giving kind of grandpa. But that's okay, because believe it or not, this is the first and last time we see either of them in the entire series. Bye, Gam Gam! Anyway, with these oldies out of the way, Satsuki and Kechiro explore their new home and meet Hajime, a neighbor boy who gets off on the wrong foot with Satsuki when he accidentally sees up her skirt. Yikes! The kids then head off to their first day of school, and Satsuki hears some meowing come from Kechiro's backpack and their cat Kaya jumps out. Kaya runs away and the kids follow her all the way into the abandoned schoolhouse. Once inside, the doors slam shut behind them. An evil spirit? Nah, it's just Hajime and his friend Leo. The two boys tell the siblings that the schoolhouse is haunted when all of a sudden a purple-haired girl appears behind them. She introduces herself as Momoko, and right away she tries to convert everyone. There's only one ghost that Momoko believes in, the Holy Ghost.
As a matter of fact, I feel a very strong sense of evil right now.
As the five students venture into the schoolhouse, the front door magically locks itself behind them. Are you scared yet? Yeah, me neither. So, Momoko actually came into this place to look for her hat that got blown in by the wind. The kids soon find it on a statue in the middle of the hallway, but as soon as they take the hat off, the statue freaking comes to life. The kids run in fear and head deeper into the school, where they see Kaya being barked at by a dog with a human face. What the what? As if that wasn't enough, the kids are then attacked by a whole swarm of evil spirits and attempt to flee the school, but they are stopped by an evil spirit named Amano-jaku, who tries to trick Satsuki into making a pact with him. Luckily, she refuses, and the kids run away to look for a spot to hide. They end up in the principal's office and find a picture of Satsuki and Kechiro's grandmother, who used to be the principal of this school. Good for Gammy, I guess. She looks a lot like their dead mom, which makes Momoko realize that she once met their mother.
I mean, maybe Mom is kind of bringing us all together. What's a lesbian?
Lil Kechiro definitely does not understand what is going on. Amano-jaku starts breaking down the door, but Satsuki finds a notebook that belonged to her mother containing instructions on how to seal evil spirits. The kids then make a circle on the ground and chant the magic spell, successfully binding Amano-jaku's spirit. Despite only being inside the building for about 20 minutes, the kids come outside to find that a whole day has passed. They also learn that Amano-jaku's spirit has been trapped inside Kaya's body. Uh-oh. The kids agree to work together to look for a way to exorcise the evil spirit from Kaya, while Amano Jaku vows revenge on the entire human race. Oh, look at the cute little kitty. Our next episode starts off at a construction site where a forest is being torn to the ground. All that remains now is a mysterious old well. Classic. The construction foreman tells his men to tear down the well while he goes to the bathroom. Just as he's about to sit down, he hears a strange voice coming from inside the toilet, asking him if he wants the red paper or blue paper. I've seen worse in there. Back at Satsuki's house, Amano Jaku is struggling with being a cat, and Satsuki is having trouble with her cat being a freaking demon. Amano Jaku uses his psychic powers to trip Satsuki with a can, and Hajime sees up her skirt again. Ugh, is this really gonna be an every episode thing? At school, Satsuki reads through her mother's notebook while Momoko shares what she remembers about her.
When I met her, she was a homosexual destined for eternal damnation.
Is Momoko the original problematic fave? The book explains that Satsuki's mother had banished all the evil spirits in the school when she was younger, but now that she's dead, all the spirits are able to come back. It also says that only after re-banishing all the spirits will they be able to exorcise Amano Jaku from their cat. Great. Hajime and Leo are in the bathroom when suddenly water starts shooting out from every toilet and faucet. Satsuki's teacher tells the class that the school is having plumbing problems and everyone will have to use the bathroom in the old schoolhouse from now on. Yeah, go poop on the ghosts, kids. That'll go well. The teacher goes to the bathroom, and once again, the voice asks if he wants red or blue paper. And the hand gets him. I guess you should have held it, teach. When he doesn't come back to class, Satsuki looks through the notebook and sees an entry about a bathroom ghost named Hanako. Hey, I guess I have heard about this one. Kechiro has an accident after being too scared to use the bathroom.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And Satsuki decides to banish Hanako. Hajime, wanting to look brave, goes with her and tells her that he has a confession to make.
I've been holding this in too long. It's time this came out. I gotta poop!
What?
Real smooth, Hajime. Real smooth. As they're walking through the hallways, the kids are suddenly attacked by an anatomical model, which Hajime is able to defeat by tripping on a broom. Cool. In the bathroom, the pair runs into Momoko, who is already talking to Hanako. The ghost tries to warn them about the monster in the toilet, but before they can understand her, Hajime is grabbed by the hand and starts getting pulled in. Satsuki looks through the book and reads that it doesn't matter if Hajime asks for red paper or blue paper, as either answer will lead to a painful death. Hajime asks for yellow paper instead. Gross! And after that, Amano Jaku appears to tell them that that was the worst possible answer. A giant hole to the underworld appears, and Hajime is barely hanging on. Luckily though, Satsuki finds an entry in the book and explains how to seal the toilet demon in a jar. You know, Satsuki, if you would have just read through the whole book once, a lot of these situations could be avoided. It doesn't even take that long either. Anyway, the last step in the ritual is to fill the jar with water. The old building doesn't have plumbing. Damn! Why did that wretched teacher tell the students to poo here then? I guess we'll never know. Just as Hajime is being pulled to the underworld, a single tear from Satsuki falls into the jar and the ritual is completed. Hajime and the teacher then both climb out of the toilet. RIP to that construction guy though. Hanako smiles and is once more at peace. Satsuki tells Amano Jaku that if he helps banish all of the spirits, he'll get to leave Kaya's body faster, but he says nah, I'm gonna keep trying to kill you guys. Such a cutie! The next episode starts with Hajime talking to his friend Kaida on some stairs. Kaida is the lead in an upcoming school play, but he's playing a character that gets cursed by a ghost and is worried the same thing might happen to him in real life. He wishes for the gym to burn down so that the entire arts festival will be cancelled. Jeez! And right after he says this, lightning strikes the roof of the gym and starts a fire. Yikes! The gym legitimately burns down, and nobody is more disappointed than Leo, who stayed up all night making his own costume.
What a gifted seamstress. I hope you're not a homosexual.
But you who can act and sew, so obviously I'm gay.
You tell her, Leo! The principal says that they can't cancel the arts festival because it pays for the football team, and they'll be holding the festival in the old haunted gym. Yeah, I'm sensing a bit of a pattern to these episodes now. Later, Kaida doesn't show up to the next rehearsal, and Hajime Hajime finds him back on the stairs. Kaida says that he'll come back, but that he hopes that he gets so hurt so he won't have to perform. Later, Kaida is rehearsing in the old gym when a basketball hoop suddenly falls down and crushes him. Damn! But Leo, his understudy, is psyched about it. Little psycho? Jeez. Hajime then takes the gang to the stairs and tells them that he thinks an evil spirit has been granting Kaida's wishes. In order to test it, each one of them makes a wish. Leo wishes for Kaida to not recover so that he himself can play the lead in the play. And boy does he get his wish, because Kaida straight up dies. No one else's wish comes true though, and everyone ignores the fact that Leo kinda sorta just killed a kid. Back at rehearsal, Leo is doing a flying scene, which is the first thing I would cut when the play moved to the old gym. A beam snaps and Leo is almost killed.
Don't yell at us, it's not our fault, we didn't do it.
Leo's fat ass broke the beam.
Man, this dub is really something else. Hajime is still convinced the stairs are cursed, while Satsuki thinks that Amano-jaku is responsible for all the accidents. The night of the play, Momoko gets possessed by the spirit of Satsuki's mom, Kayako, who helps the kids find the entry in the notebook about the cursed stairs. It says the stairs will only grant a wish if it is spoken by someone standing on the 4th step, and that to banish the spirit, they must fix a broken statue. They rush over and find the statue, but discover that the stairs have been removed entirely to be used as a set in the show. Seriously, what is the budget of this school play? The gang then rushes over to the old gym and places the repaired statue onto the 4th step. They chant the spell and are able to dispel the ghost right before Leo says a line that would have him killed right then and there. Leo thinks the curse was dispelled by his great acting and takes all the credit. What a diva. All the while, Momoko returns to her normal self, and nobody even realizes that she had just been possessed by Kayako. Our next episode starts with Hajime opening a window so the breeze will blow Satsuki's skirt up. Yeah, every damn episode. She chases Hajime through the halls, but is caught by the school's music teacher, who forces Satsuki to help bring some items to the old music room. Along the way, she passes the old library with a living statue inside.
Do you have any books written by black people?
What the hell is this show? As she gets closer to the music room, Satsuki can hear Fiorelise playing softly, and when she reaches the room, she finds a piano playing the song on its own. She tries some of the keys herself, but they make no noise. Satsuki runs away in terror, and a voice ominously whispers 3 more times. Okay? Satsuki then tells all her friends about the experience. Leo says he's heard rumors about this ghost, and allegedly anyone who hears the song 4 full times will be marked for death. Yikes! And after hearing that, Satsuki looks through her mother's whole notebook for any entries about the piano ghost. Finally, she's learning! But this time, there's nothing helpful in the whole book. Bummer. Satsuki still isn't too worried though, since she's only heard the song once at this point. That night, while washing the dishes, Satsuki gets a phone call. She picks up, but there's nobody on the other end. Again, she gets a phone call with nobody on the other line. The third time she picks up though, Fiorelise immediately starts playing. She disconnects the phone before the song can finish and runs upstairs, but the song starts playing again on a CD player. She smashes it, but once more the song plays from a music box up high on a shelf that she cannot reach, and the song finishes.
Oh man, I wish I was deaf.
2 more times.
To be fair, anyone who owns a creepy clown music box is kinda asking for it to be possessed. At school the next day, Leo comes in clutch with a pair of earplugs. That night though, Satsuki has not learned her lesson in any way and answers the ringing phone again. She hears Leo's voice saying that he found a way to banish the ghost and will tell Satsuki if she meets him at an empty lot, but it's not actually Leo. You see, it's the ghost imitating Leo. When Satsuki gets to the lot, the piano emerges from the darkness and starts playing Fiorelise again. Satsuki puts in her earplugs, but of course, Leo's cheap pair barely even works and she can still hear the song. Satsuki then runs all over town trying to escape the music, but the piano follows her relentlessly, and before long, the song finishes. The words "one more time" appear in blood on the wall in front of Satsuki. Uh-oh. Satsuki rustles up the gang and they manage to smash the piano to pieces before it can play its song for the 4th time. Leo's got his baseball bat, Hajime has a golf club, and Kechiru's got his trusty 9mm pistol. Okay, that's not even from the dub, he just had a gun always. They reach the music room and the song starts playing. Hajime rushes toward the piano but is repelled by an invisible force. Just when things seem hopeless, Momoko is again possessed by Kayako's spirit, who tells them the ghost can only be trapped in a metronome, which is just a fancy instrument artists use. Anyway, Kechiro finds the metronome and Satsuki's mother is able to put the ghost to sleep right before the song finishes. The gang then walks home, and still nobody has realized that they've been saved twice now by Kayako.
Hey, Momoko, how did you know how to put that ghost into spiritual sleep?
Oh, don't give me any credit. It was all the Lord Jesus.
Hopefully someday she'll get the credit that Jesus keeps taking from her. Hajime carries home Satsuki, who has passed out from exhaustion, and everyone lives to fight ghosts another day. The next episode starts with Satsuki tripping and Hajime taking a picture up her skirt, because of course, this show loves to do this, for the sole purpose of irritating the F out of me. But it seems like Satsuki's finally realized that this running gag will never end, because she's wearing bike shorts from now on. Let's hope that's the end of this whole thing. Kechiro runs over crying, and apparently the little guy is getting bullied by his classmates. Hajime encourages him to participate in the upcoming sports festival so that he can get better at fighting back, or at least at running away from his bullies. So, Kechiro starts training for the festival, but he seems pretty much hopeless.
He's so slow, mentally and physically.
Hajime tries to coach Kechiro by yelling pop culture references at him, but he barely improves. Then, a barefoot boy dressed in white appears next to Kechiro and runs alongside him, motivating him to run faster. On the other side of things, while setting up for the sports festival, the gym teacher finds a strange scythe in the supply closet. Suddenly, the gym equipment comes to life and starts attacking students, but as that happens, the scythe weirdly disappears. After this, the school decides to cancel the sports festival, which is the first sensible thing they've done in this series. But since the episode needs a plot, Satsuki, Hajime, and Leo convince the principal to do the sports festival anyway. Meanwhile, Kechiro keeps training with the boy in white, and the pair start to become friends. The boy tells Kechiro about a friend of his who trained for a sports festival every day for months, but on the morning of the festival, he was killed in a traffic accident. Of course, sweet little Kechiro has absolutely no idea that this dude is clearly a ghost talking about himself, so he just tells the boy that he enjoys running with him. Satsuki finds an entry in her notebook about a bull monster named Dato who carries a scythe, and it says that during the sports festival, Dato will chop off the feet of one of the track runners at exactly 4:44 p.m. The festival is scheduled to end at 3 p.m. though, so they aren't too worried. Later, Satsuki sees the boy in white go into a storage shed, and the gang all go inside to investigate while Kechiro prepares for his race. The boy traps Satsuki and her friends in the shed and reveals that he is Dato in disguise. Can't say I'm surprised. As the race starts, Satsuki realizes that the time the notebook was referring to was on a clock at the old schoolhouse, which runs 2 hours ahead. Oh no. The gang then struggles to escape, knowing that Kechiro is about to be even shorter. Hajime breaks down the shed doors just in time, and Satsuki yells to Dato that Kechiro believes in him. Dato sees that despite all the odds, Kechiro is about to win his race through pure determination. At the last second, Dato grabs his own scythe and saves Kechiro before flying off into the sky. As they all walk home that night, Kechiro says that Dato deserves the win more than he does, and throws his gold medal into the heavens.
After all that training, you're still such a little bit.
Never a serious moment with this dub, I swear. The next episode starts with a young boy watching a movie in his home. Suddenly, all the lights in the house go out, and he hears a sound at the front door. He hears his mother's voice on the other side, but when he opens the door, he's greeted by a cloaked figure with a scythe. Damn! 2 scythe-wielding monsters in a row? I know this show is formulaic, but at least change up your weapons. It turns out that was just a scary story Hajime was telling everyone. But in this town, it's a safe bet that it'll come true word for word. All the kids then realize that their parents have plans that night and they are going to be home alone. So Satsuki invites Momoko for a sleepover while the boys plan a guys' night. That night, Momoko is trying to convince Satsuki to convert to Christianity. Yeah, standard stuff. When Amano-jaku senses something lurking outside, he tells the girls that something is coming to kill them. There's a knock on the door and it's just Hajime, who apparently ditched his boys immediately. I can't really blame him though, because over at the guys' night, Kechiro is playing video games alone while Leo is trying to meet girls online.
That's right, I'm 6'1", 180, brown, 9 inches cut. Cut, you know, like I'm Jewish.
Oh, make it believable, Leo, come on! Apparently, his catfishing worked, because Leo gets a message from a girl who wants to come over. Right as she knocks on the door, all the lights go out. Leo opens the door slightly, and the cloaked figure shoves his scythe through. Yikes! Leo runs from the ghost all the way to Satsuki's house, and she slams the door just in time. The ghost pounds on the door for a while, but eventually leaves. Realizing that Kechiro is alone in Hajime's house, he and Satsuki run over and are able to stop Kechiro right before he opens the front door for the ghost. But this ghost doesn't give a single fizzity yuck anymore, and it just busts in through the ceiling, and the kids are forced to flee back to Satsuki's house. So it doesn't even matter whether you open the door or not. This ghost has suddenly gone rogue. The ghost then breaks into Satsuki's house and chases them up the stairs. Nothing seems to hurt the ghost except for a pot of soup that Satsuki throws. They lure the spirit into the bathroom and force it into a hot bath. They think they've beaten it, but Amano-jaku tells the kids that the ghost feeds on the fear of children, and the water only had an effect because they believed it did. The ghost then emerges from the water and lifts up his scythe. At that second, Satsuki's dad gets back from his single-parent support group. Apparently, as it turns out, this thing's true weakness was adults. Good thing I'm an adult too. Eesh. The next episode begins with a janitor cleaning inside the old schoolhouse. Who exactly is paying him to clean an abandoned building? I have no clue. Suddenly, the janitor is startled by a figure in the darkness that turns out to be his own reflection. He laughs at his mistake, but when the reflection's laugh starts to turn more sinister, nobody is laughing then, except the reflection, who is laughing. The janitor screams and is pulled into the mirror world by his own reflection. It turns out that this was also just a scary story being told by Leo, but it also really happened, I guess? I don't even know anymore. Leo gets home to find all the lights turned off and his mother staring at the TV in the dark.
Not Grand Theft Auto again. What would Hillary Clinton say?
What's with the super niche references? Anyway, when Leo looks over at the TV, he sees that his mother has been staring at nothing but static the whole time. Spooky. Leo then calls Satsuki to tell her about this strange behavior, but in the middle of the call, his mother creeps up behind him. Leo then lets out a scream and the call is disconnected. Satsuki and Hajime rush over to Leo's apartment, but he calmly tells them everything is fine and that they should go home. The next day at school, Leo is acting strangely and he won't say a word to anyone. Kechiro runs into him in the bathroom and is attacked by a whole swarm of possessed glasses-wearing preteen boys. Then, Kechiro's reflection climbs out of a mirror and grabs him. That night, Satsuki arrives home to find Kechiro playing video games.
Kechiro!
What?
Have you done your homework yet? Oh wait, you're dyslexic.
Jeez, this show will not give Kechiro a break. Satsuki asks Kechiro when he started wearing glasses, but when he takes them off, we see that he has no eyes behind them. Satsuki then runs to her father for help, but he too has been possessed and starts to force Satsuki into a mirror. But luckily, Hajime saves the day with a roundhouse kick to Papa's face. The pair escapes to a police station, which I didn't realize this town had, but it turns out that everybody in town has already been affected by the mirror ghost. Satsuki and Hajime flee from an angry mob and hole up inside the old schoolhouse. Oh, because that's surely the safest place to be. They then run into Leo, somehow not realizing that he is clearly still evil. He tells them that everyone is being replaced by the Utsushimi, a demon that pulls people into the mirror world and takes their place. He starts to lead them toward a mirror when Hajime notices the lettering on Leo's shirt is backwards. The jig is up. The Utsushimi inside Leo tells them they're the only two humans left, when suddenly, Amano-jaku appears with the notebook. He tells the kids that he doesn't want them to get trapped in the mirror because then he won't be able to kill them himself. But I think he's starting to get fond of these little dummies. Amano-jaku fights off Leo while Satsuki looks for a way to seal the Utsushimi. She reads that if they point two mirrors at each other, it'll create a door through which they can get back all the trapped humans. But before they can execute their plan, the horde of mirror people break into the building and grab Satsuki and Hajime. Suddenly, Satsuki's compact mirror starts to glow and drives back all the mirror people, and the Utsushimi is driven out of the townsfolk and back into the mirror world. The friends then all reunite outside. Satsuki says that the compact mirror was a keepsake from her mother that must have been imbued with spiritual energy, but Amano-jaku asks, did they really escape the mirror world, or are they all still trapped inside for all eternity?
Isn't that just freaking you out? I'm playing with your mind, man. And you know what the weird part is? I'm not even high.
Mind freaked. I'll never be able to look in a mirror the same way again. The next episode starts in the computer lab, where Mega Geek Leo is helping Satsuki set up her MySpace page. All of a sudden, all the computers in the lab shut down, which Leo says may be the work of a cyber ghost. According to a rumor he heard, somewhere on the internet is a webpage called YomiNet that connects directly to the underworld. Nobody believes him, but Leo vows to prove the existence of this site. Leo spends all day and all night searching for YomiNet with no luck. Satsuki tells him he's spending too much time online and invites him to come with the gang to get a giggity shake at McGiggity's. I didn't realize the writers were such big Family Guy fans. Yikes. If you haven't seen Family Guy, by the way, there's an awesome video on our other channel called Jartoon that will totally blow you away. Anyway, right as he's about to give up his search, Leo actually finds YomiNet, and a picture of a large stone door appears on his screen. The door opens and nothing happens. So Leo shuts down his computer and leaves the school. Behind him, an eye appears on the screen. Ah, what the hell? As Leo walks through town, he finds it completely deserted.
I'm all alone, forgotten, like a black family in Bush America.
There's that sharp political humor that children love so much. Leo calls his friends and realizes that he must have been trapped in YomiNet. He asks them to go to the computer lab to somehow get him out, when he sees a young girl walking around and tries to ask her for help. The moment he touches her, Leo is suddenly transported to a vast field of flowers. The ground beneath him crumbles and he falls into the depths of the underworld. There, Leo sees a line of people waiting to cross the river into hell. Yikes! The young girl transforms into a demon and starts chasing Leo. Fortunately though, the underworld has great reception, so Leo was able to call his friends and tell them about the demon. In the computer lab, Satsuki frantically searches through her book and finds a talisman that should be able to banish the evil spirit. They use a scanner to upload the talisman into the computer, and Leo defeats the demon. Yay! Back in the real world, Leo says he's learned his lesson about the dangers of the internet, and the gang sets off for some food.
You're treating Leo.
Why me?
Why? Because Jewish people rock!
Honestly, I was expecting a much worse answer. Episode 9 starts with the gang attending a meeting of the Happy Paws Pet Club. Not the club I expected for them, since Satsuki seems to be the only one with a pet, and he's a demon. But okay, Mio, a strange loner girl who likes to crochet little animal dolls, has been the official animal caretaker for the pet club for 5 years running. This year though, they have extra animals and need another person to volunteer to feed them before class. Hajime nominates Satsuki to do it because he's a little a-hole. On her first day of pet feeding duty, Satsuki has to help Keiichiro with a mess he made and ends up running late for school.
And there's a really weird sticky stain in my shorts. God! Your makeup!
I really want to give Keiichiro a hug. I want to give him a new mom too, but I'd bet he'd settle for a hug. When Satsuki gets to school, she sees Mio standing in the middle of the forest holding one of her dolls. Satsuki ignores it and starts feeding the rabbits, but one escapes. Mio orders the rabbit to stop running and it immediately jumps into her arms. Mio then apologizes for being late even though she got to school first. Hajime feels bad about getting Satsuki stuck on rabbit duty, so So, the next day, he tags along to help her out. They again see Mio standing in the exact same spot in the forest, holding a doll. Hajime tells Satsuki that the spot she's standing is in the animal cemetery, and Satsuki breaks the fourth wall to call the whole episode a Stephen King ripoff. Mio's eyes suddenly turn red. That night, an undead rabbit climbs out of the ground. The next morning, Satsuki and Hajime notice that there is now an extra rabbit in the enclosure that happens to look a lot like Shirotabi, Mio's favorite rabbit that died a year ago. They also see stories in the newspaper saying that large groups of rabbits at other elementary schools nearby have died. Satsuki and Hajime go to investigate the animal graveyard and see that Shirotabi's grave has been dug up. That night, Shirotabi begins to grow in size and crushes all the other rabbits in the enclosure. He then escapes and also starts attacking people all over town. Satsuki checks her notebook and reads about a ritual that Mio must have used to bring Shirotabi back to life, using the life energy at rabbits at other schools. That night, the gang stakes out Shirotabi's enclosure and sees Mio show up to talk to the rabbit.
My friends over there think you're a rabbit serial killer. And in the movies, this would be the part where I foolishly trust you not to kill me.
No, this isn't a bad movie at all, Mio. It's just a weird anime. Shirotabi grows into his demon form, and the group escapes with Mio into the old schoolhouse. The safest place in town, apparently. Satsuki tries to research a way to put Shirotabi to sleep while Leo and Hajime block the door. They tell Mio that in order to undo the spell, she has to destroy her rabbit doll. But Mio says that Shirotabi is the only real friend she's ever had.
When he died, I was so sad that I would never hear that voice again. His laugh, his funny little requests,
Touch me.
his reprimands.
Touch me harder.
Seems like a great time for Satsuki to tell Mio that she will be her friend, but instead she just threatens to kill Mio. Mio then throws the rabbit doll into Shirotabi's gaping mouth, and the monstrous rabbit is put to sleep. The next morning, the kids arrive to find a new batch of rabbits that happen to be Shirotabi's children. Mio smiles, and the episode ends with a nice reminder from Hajime that nobody likes a deadbeat dad. Who wants to bet that this will be the absolute last time any of these kids ever talk to Mio? The next episode opens on a construction crew covering an old, boarded-up tunnel that has been unused for decades. Apparently, the reason it was closed down was because people kept going into the tunnel but never coming out. As the construction crew drives away, countless hands shoot out of the ground in the tunnel. Yikes! Hajime, meanwhile, is just doing his thing, walking around the forest and ranting about his favorite show, Lost, when he stumbles upon the tunnel. He turns around to leave, but finds himself face to face with a taxi cab, and the driver staring right at him. The driver asks Hajime if he would like a ride home, and Hajime flees in terror. At school, Hajime tells the others about the spooky tunnel, and they all decide to go check it out for themselves. The creepy taxi shows up again, but it turns out he's actually a pretty good guy.
Creepy Japanese men can be cabbies too, you know. But women should never be allowed to drive.
Alright, so definitely not a good guy, but at least he isn't a ghost? Nope, he's one of those too, and he drives the cab straight into the tunnel. Next thing they know, the kids wake up on the ground in the tunnel. Shadows on the ground start moving toward them and soon cover their entire bodies. They pass out again and wake up in a cemetery populated by everyone who has died in the tunnel. Jesus! Their life forces start to drain, and the kids begin to see the memories of the taxi driver. They then learn that he was a single father who crashed in the tunnel while on his way home to give his daughter a birthday gift. Momoko places a tangerine on the taxi driver's grave as an offering. Satsuki's mother begins to speak to Momoko and tells her the only way to escape is for everyone to find their own tombstone and destroy it. So the kids use their imaginations to create weapons and destroy the gravestones, and wake up once more on the floor of the tunnel. They're not out of danger yet, as the shadows still chase after them. Then, the taxi shows up and tells the kids to get in. He tells the kids that he is grateful for Momoko's offering and drops them off outside the tunnel. On their way down the mountain, the kids pass a woman carrying a bag of tangerines. It's the taxi driver's daughter, all grown up. A beautiful moment, ruined by Leo talking over it and making unnecessary pop culture references.
Do you think maybe my parents taped my show for me? I wanted to find out if that baby thing was true. Coke is bad.
The next episode begins with the gang walking home from school together on a cold winter afternoon. Kechiro finds an old porcelain doll sitting on a trash can and asks Satsuki if he can take it home. But Satsuki has some pretty traditional ideas about gender roles and tells Kechiro he isn't allowed to play with dolls. After dinner, Satsuki finds the doll sitting in the entryway. She feels a little bad for the filthy doll and cleans it with her handkerchief. She then yells at Kechiro for ignoring her and bringing it home, but Kechiro insists he didn't bring the doll inside. Satsuki then gets a phone call in the middle of the night and hears a child's voice that introduces herself as Mary Mary. She tells Satsuki to turn around, and Satsuki sees the doll has moved into the hallway. Man, if there's one thing I'm scared of, it's possessed creepy dolls. Ugh. Satsuki's father doesn't believe her about the doll moving on its own, but he says he will take Mary Mary somewhere far away to make Satsuki feel safer. The next day at school, Satsuki gets another call from Mary Mary.
Now I'm at Foot Locker!
Satsuki hangs up, but all the phones in school start ringing. She then runs onto the roof, but Leo gets a call on his cell phone from Mary Mary saying that she's hiding on the roof. Uh-oh. Satsuki's teacher appears and tells her that she needs to go to the hospital as her father was just in an accident, and Mary Mary watches from above as the kids leave. Satsuki and Kechiro then get to the hospital where they learn that their father has suffered a grievous testicular injury.
Calm down. I'm all right. It's not like I wanted more kids anyway.
After these two, I can't blame him. As they're leaving the hospital, they see Mary Mary in the hallway. Satsuki's teacher then says he'll take them to a temple that collects unwanted dolls. At the temple, a monk tells the kids he will gladly buy Mary Mary from them so he can use it to reenact movie scenes with his friends. He places Mary Mary on a shelf next to dozens of other toys, but when they get back to their house, they still get another call from Mary Mary, which drives Satsuki crazy with paranoia. Hajime then takes the siblings to an abandoned warehouse with no phones, because that's a way better solution than just looking through the ghost-killing notebook. While Hajime takes Kechiro out to find a bathroom, Satsuki is confronted by Mary Mary, who has brought all of the dolls from the temple along with her. Jesus Christ! Mary Mary blocks the door while the dolls surround Satsuki and tie her up. Mary Mary is about to pull Satsuki's eyeball, but suddenly Satsuki's handkerchief falls out, and Mary Mary remembers the moment earlier when Satsuki cleaned her. She's been trying to kill Satsuki a lot since that happened, but for some reason, this is the moment she decides to have a change of heart and lets Satsuki go. Hajime then does a completely unnecessary action dive through the window.
What? Somebody help me!
And once again, the kids have banished another spirit, without any real effort on their part too. On the roof of the warehouse, Amano Jaku tells Mary Mary to leave the children alone and never return. She disappears, and he admits that he's starting to grow fond of the kids. Aww, I wish my kitty was possessed. The following episode starts with Kechiro taking a visit to the school nurse for a stomachache, when suddenly, floating out the window, he sees a creepy-looking nurse. He tells the gang about this, and Leo says what Kechiro likely saw was the cursed nurse, an evil spirit who preys on people that don't have health insurance. Wait, what in the name of Luigi Mangione? Satsuki immediately rejects the idea of a nurse ghost, but she's acting a bit strange and seems to have some kind of issue with the entire concept of nurses. That night at dinner, Kechiro asks his father to not come to parent-teacher day at school, as he is afraid he'll get bullied for being the only kid without a mother.
Okay. I'm off the hook.
That's some A+ parenting right there. There's some clear favoritism going on, as Dad ignores Kechiro and tells Satsuki her mother would be proud of her. That night, Kechiro has a nightmare where the cursed nurse drags his mother away from him into the underworld. Yikes! At school the next day, Kechiro sees the cursed nurse again and tries to tell his sister, but she straight up gaslights him by accusing him of lying. Yeah, Satsuki, this'll be the week that it turns out there isn't a ghost. Sure. When Satsuki arrives home by herself, she finds a letter from Kechiro saying that he is going to see their mother, you know, in his own special way.
Sis, dear mom, I love going your PSC too. Oh no!
Satsuki looks through their mother's notebook and reads that the cursed nurse is real. Shocker. And the way to put it to sleep is by saying the patient's illness has been cured 2 times. She thinks that Kechiro must have gone to the hospital where their mother died and travels there with Momoko. It turns out Momoko also used to be a patient at this hospital for rehab, where she heard rumors about the cursed nurse. She also says that while she was in the hospital, she had a conversation with Kayako where she told her that she was never really attached to Satsuki's father and only married him because she accidentally got pregnant. Wow! Is that really necessary to share, Momoko? In his mom's old hospital room, Kechiro tells Amano-jaku that he wishes he didn't have to see his mom when she was suffering from her illness.
Why'd they take me to the hospital anyway? I was 2! Let me stay home and watch Cartoon Network.
I hear you.
He may not know how to read, but the kid's got taste at least. Kechiro's fantasizing about Raven from Teen Titans when the cursed nurse floats around the corner and approaches him. Satsuki appears just in time and chants the spell, but it has no effect. Amano-jaku tells the kids that he can't sense any malicious intent from the nurse, and that it seems like she's only trying to deliver them something. The cursed nurse then begins to glow in a brilliant light and transforms into a letter from Kayako. Soon enough, Satsuki's dad also arrives at the hospital and the family reads the letter together. Of course, it's wildly inappropriate, but ultimately Kayako warns her kids about the ghosts living in town and tells her family that she loves them all. Feels like the kind of message that could have been easily hand-delivered instead of entrusting it to an evil nurse ghost, but that's just how Kayako rolls. Our next episode starts with a young woman being forced to model for a painting. She is standing on a stool with her arms tied and a noose around her neck. The artist mocks the girl while he paints her, and as soon as the picture is finished, the girl disappears. And we see the artist is a spooky skeleton with long hair. It's tough competition, but this goofy Bob Ross skeleton is probably the least scary looking ghost yet. At school, Satsuki's painting of the old schoolhouse has won first place in an art contest. Everyone crowds around to admire it, but after they all leave, blood starts spilling out from the painting. That night, Satsuki's dad is listening to a music box in front of Kayako's shrine. Satsuki asks about the music box, but her dad doesn't answer. Back at school, Satsuki notices the blood on her painting and assumes it's the work of a jealous classmate. On the stairs above them, the skeleton artist sets his sights on Momoko, and his eyes begin to gleam. Then there's a commotion over at the old schoolhouse, and Satsuki heads over to see that blood is spilling out of one of the building's windows, just like in her painting. The kids sneak into the building and discover the liquid is pouring out from the art room and is actually just red paint mixed with rainwater. Amano-jaku appears and tells the kids about an old art teacher at the school who was so obsessed with becoming the next great artist that he called himself Da Vinci, but was so untalented that he eventually took his own life and became an evil spirit. After that, he started painting people only to trap their soul in his canvas. Satsuki checks out her mother's notebook and reads that Kayako did put this guy to spiritual sleep back in the day, but, well, bro actually returned because Satsuki decided to paint the old schoolhouse. Yeah, apparently that was the rule for bringing this guy back. Nice going, Satsuki. Another incident that could have been prevented if you actually read the whole book! Things get worse, because the spell that the kids need to chant to put Da Vinci back to sleep is impossible to read because of a Kool-Aid stain. And this one's probably Kechiro's fault. Damn, these siblings suck at busting ghosts. They look back at Satsuki's painting and see that Momoko is trapped and being painted by Da Vinci in a nearby room. They then rush into the room, and Da Vinci ambushes them and escapes into Satsuki's painting, with Satsuki and Hajime diving in after him. Inside the painting, an unknown boy mistakes Satsuki for someone else and gives her a small present. She and Hajime look around and see that they aren't just trapped in a painting, but also somehow traveled back in time to 1973.
Holy time machine, Batman! It's 1973!
Holy pre-Parkinson's Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Back to the Future plot rip-off device. Where's my DeLorean?
Careful. I heard there's a ghost that will steal your soul if you make too many pop culture references in one episode. Did that work? I hope that worked. It probably didn't work. Satsuki and Hajime then run into a younger version of Kayako and ask her for her help to defeat Da Vinci. Back in the present, Leo and Kechiru, whose only job was to keep an eye on the painting, have failed so miserably that it's about to be thrown into a fire by the janitor. Meanwhile, Satsuki, Hajime, and Kayako rush to the art room and see Da Vinci has almost finished his portrait of Momoko. He kicks away the stool that Momoko was standing on and tries to escape back through the painting, but is unable to since the other end leads directly into a blazing fire. Satsuki and Kayako work together and trap Da Vinci's spirit into his painting of Momoko, while Leo and Kechiru pull the painting out of the inferno. These morons, I tell ya! Satsuki thanks her mother and gets ready to return to the present, but first she opens the gift she got earlier and sees it as the music box her father was listening to earlier. She realizes the boy who gave it to her was her father, who meant to give it to Kayako. Satsuki then returns the music box to her father while encouraging him to ask out her mom, and the gang returns to the present with Satsuki sharing a sweet moment with her brother.
You smell just like Mom.
I just saw her. Why am I telling you? You'll never get the concept.
Episode 14 begins on a dark night with a taxi driver who is driving along near a railroad crossing when he hits a woman with long black hair. He gets out of the car but can't see the woman or any damage to his car. The dude then just gets back in the taxi and turns around to discover that the woman that he just hit is sitting behind him. Classic. He then screams as a train rushes past. Leo, this insatiable gossipy dude, somehow heard the story of this taxi driver and has brought the whole crew out to the railroad crossing to investigate. Leo starts taking pictures of the surrounding area, but Momoko tells him that if there are any spirits, they probably don't want to be disturbed. Soon enough, everyone leaves for home. That night, Leo is developing the pictures he took at the site and sees a photo of Momoko with a disembodied hand resting on her shoulder. Yikes! He rushes to school the next day to show his friends, but before he can, Satsuki tells them that Momoko suddenly got sick and was rushed to the hospital. The kids then go see Momoko in the hospital to show her the photo.
Thorough examination, that's what she's getting.
You know, I could give her a thorough examination.
Turns out, Momoko isn't too surprised and shows her friends a ghostly purple handprint on her shoulder. Satsuki can't find anything about the ghost in her mother's notebook, but Amano Jaku tells her that it's likely a zip code ghost, a spirit that is bound to the place where it died. Nice job with the name there. After that, Leo tries a ritual on his own to dispel the ghost, but Leo doesn't know what the hell he's doing and messes it all up even more. He looks at the photo again, and now the ghost has both arms wrapped around Momoko. Leo then rushes to the hospital and finds that Momoko's condition has worsened. Great job, man. Leo then tells his friends what he did, and Hajime gives him a punch in the face for it. Fair enough. After that, Amano Jaku tells the kids they can try to appease the spirit by leaving an offering at the railroad crossing. While there, they meet the mother of a girl who was killed in a hit and run near the crossing. The mother tells the kids her daughter was engaged to be married, and they were never able to find her engagement ring after her death. They go back to the railroad crossing and start searching for the ring so they can use it to put the girl's spirit to sleep. Suddenly, Momoko appears in front of them, standing on the train tracks. Leo notices that the photo has once again changed.
It's the chick from The Ring! I mean, The Grudge! What movie are we ripping off again?
Technically, this episode came out in Japan before either of these movies existed, so who exactly is ripping off who? Anyway, a train starts coming towards Momoko, and the friends desperately try to pull her off the tracks, but are unable to. Leo apologizes to the ghost for disturbing it and promises to find her ring. He also tackles Momoko, but he still can't get her off the tracks. But just as the train is about to hit them, the ghost recovers her memory of the hit and run, and remembers that the ring was stolen by the taxi driver that hit her. Momoko grabs Leo and rolls both of them off of the tracks just in time. The kids go to the taxi company and find the ring in a taxi. They run away from the driver and bring the ring back to the girl's mother. That night, the spirit gets her revenge and drags the taxi driver into the underworld. Yikes! So, kids, if you ever accidentally kill someone in your car, don't steal anything from their body. Just leave it there in the road. You might still get arrested, but at least you don't have to worry about anyone haunting you. Just keep that in mind. Our next episode starts with a group of schoolgirls talking about how they've all started using magic charms and spells to try and improve their lives. Sounds like these little girls are into manifestation-related shenanigans. Satsuki, who must have realized her only friends are two perverts, a religious nut, cut, and a freaking demon tries to join the girls, but the group's leader Shinobu tells Satsuki that they aren't looking for any more members. Satsuki overhears the girls planning to do a ritual after school, and stays after to catch them. She pleads to join them, and they allow her to take part in the ritual, which is supposedly going to grant a wish to each of these girls. They perform the ritual, and Shinobu tells them that if they tell anyone about what they did before the wishes come true, they'll be cursed. That night, Amanajaku tells Satsuki that he can tell there's some kind of evil aura around her, but she refuses to tell him about the ritual. As she's sleeping, Satsuki becomes paralyzed in her bed and can hear a figure climbing into her window. She wakes up in the morning and believes it was just a nightmare, but when she looks down, she sees a trail of blood on her bedroom floor. Yikes! The next day at school, all the other girls from the ritual tell Satsuki they experienced the same thing, but Shinobu doesn't show up to class, along with another girl named Aya. When Satsuki asks why he didn't call Aya's name during roll call, he tells her that there has never been a student with that name. What? Satsuki notices that Aya's desk has disappeared as well. It seems like the only ones who can even remember her are Satsuki and the other girls. That's when Shinobu shows up and grins knowingly at Satsuki.
Let's move on here. Girardi.
I'm here!
Campbell.
Sup?
Emunchuk. Specter Megankai. Crapper.
Quite a vibrant class. After class, all the girls confront Shinobu. She says that Aya must have told someone about the ritual and gotten herself cursed. The girls tell Shinobu that they want out of the whole thing, and she tells them they can undo the ritual by hitting 2 stones together and chanting a magic spell at exactly 2 a.m. Satsuki tries this, but Amanajaku stops her right before she touches the stones together and tells her that she was about to perform a ritual that would erase her from existence. Okay, all this is clearly way more serious than manifestation shenanigans. Satsuki calls the other girls from school, but it's too late. She discovers that they no longer exist. It's at that moment that Shinobu appears and transforms into a demon with long limbs and an eyeball in her mouth. Ew. She attacks Satsuki, but is stopped by Amanajaku. While he fights the demon, Satsuki looks through her notebook and reads that the way to put Shinobu to sleep is by tying her up in red string and bathing her in sunlight. But it's the middle of the night and she doesn't have any string. Shinobu breaks into Satsuki's room and is lured in front of a mirror that Satsuki has drawn on with red lipstick, making it look like she's tied up with string. After that, Satsuki hits Shinobu with a camera flash and puts her to spiritual sleep. All of the disappeared girls then return to school, and all's well in this fair town again. At least for now. Our next episode begins with our old friends, the construction crew that disturbs ancient spirits. And look, Satsuki's dad is the foreman. I guess I always just assumed he was unemployed. They're about to demolish an abandoned public housing block that's rumored to be cursed, when one of the men swears that he saw a girl up in one of the windows. Suddenly, debris starts falling on the men. Dad is back in the hospital, as well as all of the other construction guys, and the doctors can't figure out what's wrong with them. Yeah, no wonder so many people die in this town. The doctors are terrible!
Well then, this intern tells us.
I just started here. I can't read this chart. But whatever it is, they wrote a lot.
Leo tells Satsuki that he's heard about the haunted housing block, and unless they exorcise the spirit there, her father will likely die. Unfortunately though, the kids are turned away from the housing block by a security guard, but all's well because they return later that night to break in. When they get there, they see a woman on the roof of the building who's about to jump. They rush upstairs and knock on someone's door to ask if they can use their phone to call the police. An old man answers, but only tells the kids they are in danger and slams the door.
Perfect, he's gay.
I did notice he looked at me quite enticingly.
It's insane how I've gotten so used to the craziness of this dub by this point. Like, what the heck is this? Satsuki sees the woman from the roof falling past the balcony, but when they look down, they see nobody below. Amanajaku appears and tells the kids they've been pulled into a space between the worlds of the living and the dead. They rush back downstairs, but the door exits right back onto the same balcony. The kids then realize that Leo is no longer with them. They then find him on the corner of a balcony, but it's actually just a mannequin wearing Leo's clothes. Suddenly, a whole pack of mannequins emerge from one of the apartments and attacks the kids, grabbing Hajime and Kachiru. Satsuki and Momoko run into the security guard from earlier. He tells them he is the original architect of the building, and that everything is his fault for allowing the building to be taken over by a spirit named Soma. Satsuki looks through the notebook and reads that they will need to find a doll to use as a vessel to put Soma to sleep sleep in. Satsuki then finds a doll in one of the apartments, but Momoko is snatched by the ghost. Uh-oh. Satsuki takes the elevator to the roof where she sees a glowing tree and all her friends who have been possessed by Soma. They all start walking towards the edge of the roof while ghostly hands grab Satsuki. Amanajaku appears and frees Satsuki, but the tree comes to life and destroys her doll. After that, the security guard shows up and offers to use his own body as the vessel for Soma.
Well, this was all my fault, so I guess I better pay for it, and I'm lonely, horny, and don't make a lot of money. What do I have to live for anyway?
Satsuki performs the ritual and is able to seal the evil spirit away and saves her friends. Later, the construction crew is all out of the hospital and the gang watches as the housing block is demolished. We may never know what happened to that architect/security guard, but if he is trapped in spiritual limbo for all eternity, I guess he deserves it for not getting the proper building permits. Ignore bureaucracy at your own risk, kids. The next episode starts with the gang taking a trip to a ski resort for a little winter vacation. They're supposed to meet up with Miyuki, a cousin of Satsuki's that she's never met before who lives in the area.
We've been married about 6 years now.
Nobody's talking to you, just drive the bus driver. Nosy.
Also, this show suddenly has uncensored F-bombs now? I guess maybe at this point they knew the show was cancelled and had no Fs left to give. Or should I say they had plenty left to give. Anyway, the gang gets to the ski chalet where they meet Yuki, the younger sister of Miyuki. Satsuki, of course, asks no questions about this cousin that she had no idea existed. Yuki tells them that the nearby lake is cursed and often turns blood red. The friends completely ignore this warning and start to enjoy their vacation, but Yuki later comes back and tells them that Miyuki died in the lake and her spirit will soon come back for revenge. What? The gang then looks out the window and sees a blood-red lake with Miyuki's hat floating in the middle of it. Satsuki tries to call the police, but none of the phones in the chalet work. Suddenly, Miyuki appears at the front door dripping wet. Yuki slams the door and asks the boys to help her barricade it. Hajime gets lured into a room by a mysterious newspaper clipping when the door slams shut and locks itself. Then, all the taxidermied animals in the chalet come to life for some reason and attack Satsuki and her friends, forcing them to flee outside into the snow. Yuki tells everyone that she knows a ritual that will put Miyuki's spirit to sleep, so they form a circle around a photo of Miyuki and start to chant the spell. However, they are soon stopped by the appearance of Hajime and Miyuki. Hajime shows everyone the newspaper he found, which reveals that Yuki is actually a girl who drowned in the lake 40 years ago. The ritual she was trying to get them to perform was one that would have trapped Miyuki's soul in the lake along with her. Yikes! Yuki then summons a powerful snowstorm that starts to freeze the kids, when Satsuki has the idea to repeat the spell from earlier, but with the newspaper clipping in the middle of the circle instead of Miyuki's photo. They perform the ritual and put Yuki's spirit to rest. The snowstorm ends and the lake turns back to blue. The gang then pays their respects to Yuki and watch the sunset together. The lesson here: if someone you've never heard of shows up and claims to be your cousin, ask yourself if they might not be a 40-year-old ghost. You might just save yourself and your friends a whole mess of trouble. Episode 18 begins with two students delivering some end-of-the-day announcements from the school's broadcast room. Just when they finish, a voice starts speaking from the PA system that says, "You will pay," and begins counting down from 10. When it gets to 0, one of the students begins to choke. Inside the old schoolhouse, a microphone rusts and breaks. After this, all of the broadcast students fall ill, and the broadcast teacher, Ms. Matsushima, asks Satsuki to temporarily fill in so that she can have an affair with another teacher, which she describes to the kids in detail.
Mr. Sakata and I have a very private teacher-teacher conference we have to do this afternoon.
Oh wow, I can't even comprehend how inappropriate this is.
Me neither, Satsuki. Outside, Leo tells Hajime, Momoko, and Kechiru about rumors she heard from the students in the broadcast club regarding the ghost. That's when Amanajaku shows up and tells them the ghost is called Akane, a former student at the old schoolhouse who died of a heart attack in the middle of a broadcast. Legend has it that anyone who hears her voice will be dead by sunset. Amanajaku suggests that the broadcast students getting sick was just Akane testing her powers, and Satsuki will be her first real target. Oh no! The gang rushes to the broadcast room to warn Satsuki, but find the room is locked and soundproofed so she can't hear them. Satsuki starts her broadcast, despite the fact that it seems like everyone has already gone home for the day, when Akane's voice returns and starts to threaten her. Objects in the broadcast room suddenly start to float and attack Satsuki. Amanajaku tells the others that they should go to the broadcast room in the old schoolhouse to find a way to stop Akane. Satsuki, meanwhile, is hiding under a desk and not doing too well, as Akane crawls out of a TV and starts hunting her down. In the old schoolhouse, the gang finds the broken microphone and realizes that Akane's spirit has been trapped inside it until it broke the other day. Leo has the idea that if they play the right tones that are used in actual radio stations to end the broadcast, they might be able to stop Akane, and Hajime grabs a nearby xylophone. Akane begins counting down from 30, but Satsuki realizes she is skipping every number with a 4 in it, so she starts shouting the number 4 over and over at Akane, while Hajime plays the right tones on a xylophone, and soon enough they are able to put Akane to spiritual sleep. Ms. Matsushima then tells the kids how impressed she is with their ability to fight ghosts, and Amanajaku watches from the roof as the kids go home.
Maybe I've underestimated this spunky little redhead chick after all.
No, Cat, I don't believe that's even possible. The 19th episode begins with a man driving down the highway when he starts getting terrorized by a motorcyclist with no head. Some rubble from higher up on the mountain comes crashing down into the man's car. The Headless Rider revs his engine and rides away from the wreck. At school, rumors about the Headless Rider have spread and everyone is wearing a scarf to protect their necks. Of course, Satsuki doesn't believe in that kind of stuff and refuses to take basic precautions as she and Momoko take a trip to the hair salon. Meanwhile, the boys are stuck at school helping their teacher move some headless statues from the art room into storage. Leo, the only one in this show with basic survival instincts, can tell something is off and forces Hajime and Kechiru to wrap curtains around their necks. They find the statues' heads in the hallway and come across Amanajaku, who is bloodied, and tells the kids he just fought an especially tough ghost. The kids hear a motorcycle revving in the distance and flee the school. Back at Leo's apartment, the boys are looking for information on the Headless Rider online when Leo's father comes in. He tells them that the guy who was in an accident at the beginning of the episode went crazy in the hospital and stabbed himself with a knife, but not before saying that the Headless Rider is going to the part of the town that the hair salon is in. Oh God! At the salon, Satsuki is getting her hair cut when she sees the Headless Rider out the window. He revs his engine, causing everything inside the salon to explode and fly around. Satsuki runs out of the salon, and everywhere she looks, she sees signs and billboards that have been decapitated. Satsuki's friends catch up to her and bring a scarf and her mother's notebook. However, the only relevant entry in it seems to be about a headless horse ghost, which makes Leo point out that this episode doesn't make any sense. Okay. The Headless Rider starts coming towards the kids, and a strong wind blows away all of their scarves. Wow. Satsuki tries performing the ritual for the horse ghost, and just as she is about to lose her head to a flying piece of sheet metal, Hajime tackles her to the ground, and the Headless Rider is sealed inside a clown doll that falls into the river. Their scarves float back to them, but Amanajaku shows up and tells them that this isn't over yet. The clown doll isn't able to hold the spirit of the Headless Rider, and he emerges from the water. Upon seeing that the kids all have their scarves on again, the dude rides off into the darkness. The kids all agree that this whole thing was pretty pointless, and the episode ends. Well, I guess you can't catch them all. This isn't Pokemon. The final episode starts at a temple overlooking the town. A flash of lightning strikes a giant bell, and it crashes to the ground. Dark energy starts to leak out, and the ground starts to crack. It's the 1-year anniversary of Kayako's death, and the kids are getting ready for a memorial service. But as they walk down the street, they notice the ground is littered with dead birds, and Leo runs up to tell them about some strange red smoke at the school. They rush over where they see all their classmates are hypnotized and are walking into the old schoolhouse. Uh-oh. Satsuki and Kechiru go in after them, but the door slams shut behind them, separating them from the others. Amanajaku tells them that every ghost from the whole series has been reawakened and is coming to kill the siblings. Even the ones that turned out to be nice? What exactly was the point of the last 19 episodes then? Anyway, the siblings then venture deeper into the schoolhouse and are soon attacked by their brainwashed, knife-wielding classmates. They manage to escape into the hallway, but they're not out of danger yet as they run directly into the scythe-wielding ghost from episode 6. Outside, Hajime is trying to break into the building, but Amanajaku tells him it is futile. The ghost that escaped from the giant bell is Oma, the most powerful ghost of them all, who wants revenge for Kayako putting him to sleep all these years. Amanajaku says the kids are no match for him, but they ignore him and manage to find a way into the building. Satsuki and Kechiru continue to evade the ghosts and hypnotize students, and are saved by Hajime just as the toilet ghost is about to grab them. They then hide in a classroom and look through the ghost notebook, where they read agreed that in order to seal Oma, they'll need some torches and a giant bell, like the one in the tower above the old schoolhouse. Oma breaks into the classroom and takes the form of a giant stone golem. Right as he's about to kill Satsuki, Amanajaku saves them with an energy barrier. He battles Oma while the kids escape, but is ultimately bested and thrown to the floor in a bloody heap. No! The kids make it to the school's attic where they find some torches, but Oma pursues closely behind. Satsuki narrowly dodges a blow that destroys a wall of the building, and they see that outside, the ground has been ripped apart to reveal a fiery void. God damn, this got serious fast! Amanajaku then pulls himself to his feet and uses the last of his energy to attack Oma one last time, and as his cat body is destroyed, he is able to escape in his original spirit form and tackle Oma into the void. Okay, I'm actually kinda sad. Momoko is then possessed by the spirit of Kayako one last time.
Satsuki! Kick his ass!
Wow, thanks for the assist, Mom. Any more great advice? Satsuki and her friends then perform the ritual while Amanajaku hurls the bell at Oma. The demon is trapped inside and the world returns to normal. Afterwards, the kids find the cat's body, injured but still breathing. Kaya has returned to being a normal cat, and nobody knows exactly what happened to Amanajaku. After their mother's memorial service, Satsuki finds Kechiru sitting under a tree, mourning the loss of his talking cat. They start to walk towards their friends, but turn back to see that at the base of the tree, someone has left white daffodils, their mother's favorite flower. They then run back, and Amanajaku jumps out of the tree to greet the kids once more. Honestly, what a solid ending. That brings us to the end of Ghost Stories, and if you've made it all the way to the end, I want to sincerely thank you for sticking with me. I don't think this one is winning any awards for its writing anytime soon, but the sheer craziness of the dub elevates this anime to an instant classic in my book. But what did you think? Did this show deserve more than just one season? Do you think Kechiru will ever learn how to read? Don't forget to subscribe and turn on that notification bell. And as always, we'll see you next time.